Rambo.
I don't know why there's a fire.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's sink or swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. Welcome to the shrimp tank. Want to put it all together, this is big thanks. Doing big things, we ain't in the same league. Running a campaign, Roadie 2016. Like a phone to die, putting me in charge. I'm a general, from the front, I'ma lead the charge. Like a federal, fell on my lap, never. Going hard as ever.
Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank Podcast, hosted right here at Florida Atlantic University's Adams Center for Entrepreneurship, in conjunction with the Florida Atlantic College of Business. You know what we're here for. This is where street smarts, sorry about that. I think it's street, right? Street smarts and book smarts collide. Each week we talk to one local successful entrepreneur. I am your host this week. Jason's out, so look out. I'm your host, Dr. Kevin Cox, director of the Adams Center, here with my co-host.
Hello there.
Dr. Roland Kidwell.
Late of the Adams Center.
The hardest place to find in the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're out there,
maybe that's what's going on. That might be the problem.
If you're out there and you're looking to visit the Adams Center, maybe shoot me an email. We have some great directions, or Google FAU Adams Center and click on directions. Not the easiest place to find. A little bit of a best kept secret around FAU, not to mention where the studio is, but we're joined as always by my entrepreneurship class. So with that, why don't we jump right into the show? We've got a fantastic guest this week, Amanda Marino from Next Level Recovery Associates. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you all for being here and taking time out of your day. It's an honor.
Great. Well, now that you're here, we're going to put you right on the spot. One of the things we teach our students and our entrepreneurs how to do effectively, because it's important, is to deliver an impactful, great, comprehensive, but short elevator pitch, right?
Okay.
60 seconds. You're riding to an elevator. Tell us a little bit about your business, what you're doing. It's a great way to really deliver a great introduction, both as an individual, but also as a business owner. So we're going to ask you in a second to deliver an elevator pitch to the class live on the podcast in only 60 seconds.
No pressure.
No, none at all. Are you ready?
Sure.
Go for it.
Good afternoon. I'm Amanda Marino. I'm the owner of Next Level Recovery Associates. I'm a native Floridian. I created Next Level Recovery Associates because I had worked in behavioral health for a decade, and I saw that there was a gap in care. So individuals that are in higher net worth families or those that don't have the resources there wasn't a space for them. So I created a business that goes in-home, works with people before, during, and after treatment, or comes up with a creative plan, even if they don't have mental health or substance use disorder. I also work with people with failure to launch. All of you here aren't failure to launch, so congratulations. But it's a big problem in today's world with the digital divide. And I've worked on the TV show Intervention and the TV show Digital Addiction as an expert. And prior to that, I was a hip hop dancer for Dr. Dre and Britney Spears. And so it was kind of a full circle moment to get on Intervention and be there as a woman of substance instead of because I could shake my butt on camera and had a beautiful body at 18 years old. So I'm grateful for the full circle moment that I'm a woman of substance today and I'm making a difference and changing the world.
A little more than 60 seconds, but certainly worth it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Great job.
Came from the heart.
So tell us a little bit more about your business model. What do you do? Or is it your nonprofit, for-profit, clientele? Just tell us a little bit about that.
It's pretty concierge. I work, it's a concierge company. There's the business model is unique. I worked in all of the positions besides I'm not a clinician. I have a psychologist that oversees and I have an on-call psychiatrist that are my go-to for everything clinical. I have dietitians I bring in, coaches. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of a 24/7 sober companion. It kind of started in the era of like Aerosmith, the band, when they were trying to get clean off drugs. They hired like professionals to tour with them. So it's a big thing with people with generational wealth to hire someone to live with them 24/7, and to really help them navigate things, and somebody on tour, traveling for business, things like that. And they're good at blending in.
So who's your most famous rock star client?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, wow.
That was the old part of the show where they played the fifth. Right. Anyway.
But yeah, it's custom, it's custom and concierge. But listen, if anyone ever needs help with anything, like if we're not the right people, I will always help them.
And how long have you been around?
My company just turned 5.
Okay.
So I opened pre-pandemic, and I thought that was kind of like a cool thing to maybe talk about a little bit, because starting a business at the end of 2019 and then figuring out all these in-person services, how to do them in the beginning of the pandemic, was definitely a curveball.
Yeah, I can only imagine. We have a few founders going through our programs who that was either a major challenge, but in some cases a major benefit, right? They were designed for online, and then all of a sudden somebody needed online. So it could be great, or it can be you're designed for in person. So how did you deal with that challenge of being designed for in person and now, oh, nope, no in person?
It was basically like kind of what I do with the clients and the families, like crisis management. I feel like that's how we started our business. And I had a partner at the time, and now he's in his doctorate program for organizational leadership and wants to work in businesses. So but he helped me with a good foundation. He's more type A systems. For me, I'm more like creative. I throw some random thing against the wall and hope that it works. And a lot of times it does. So I always have to have someone that's systematic with me. But, it was definitely a challenge at first, but in the big picture now, almost 5+ years later, definitely a benefit.
Yeah, so congratulations on that. Not very few businesses make it to 5 years of being successful. And just for the students, any younger listeners who may have missed it, one of those code names or synonyms got thrown out. Concierge typically means higher end, right? Specialty services, meaning paying cash as opposed to being reimbursed from insurance. So there may be a combination of those things, but just so everybody has a handle on exactly your target market, which is one of the things we were just talking about in my class, that it benefits you typically to be very specific and right in a niche. So then you can be more focused and deliver a better service. Is there a reason you decided to focus in on that niche, and how has that worked out for you?
Well, on the TV show, I work with people that are homeless and in trap houses and situations I've never seen in my life, right? So that's like what I do in TV. And then if I'm ever needed locally just to help a friend or somebody, I grew up here. People call me all the time for all kinds of situations. So I will always be of service. But I noticed I've worked at the Breakers for 4 years in my 20s, and I worked as a concierge for the high-end gas, and they have so many issues that are tucked, hidden under the rug. So the people that are homeless and have nothing, and the people that have everything, have so much in common when it comes to mental health and behavioral health and substance use disorder, eating disorders, all those things. One has all the resources in the world and doesn't want to change because everything's handed to them, and the other one has nothing and has no options. So they are so much alike. It's crazy.
Do you work with the ones that have no options? How do you do that? Or if you do?
Yeah. I mean, I'm very publicly who I am on my Instagram, Amanda Marino Official, and on LinkedIn and all that. So anyone that reaches out to me in a DM, in a phone call, random, I will always find somebody, some kind, like a few options that will fit for them, even with no money at all. But with my company and my business, we know our clientele is a higher end clientele.
What do you see as the most serious addiction that you're looking at right now?
I mean, there's so
most prevalent. There's
so many, and honestly, that landscape shifts. Like, it was definitely heroin and pills. It was pills down here, pain pills, opioids, and then it turned into heroin when the pill mills closed in Fort Lauderdale. We were like good old Florida. I'm a Floridian, so but sometimes it's like I'm not like the Central Florida or wherever. So yeah, I'd say now I get a lot of alcohol. Alcohol is the one that you can get anywhere. Alcohol is the ones that's socially accepted. There's a lot of older female alcoholics that I deal with. And then a lot of young trauma. Most people have trauma. It stems from trauma, whether it's eating disorder, whether it's body dysmorphia, digital addiction, mental health, like don't have relationships with people and want to hide, or stuffing themselves with substances,
I'm reading a book now called The Anxious Generation. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yes.
that. Here they are right here, the anxious generation. They're
They don't look so
addicted.
anxious.
They're well, not these folks in particular, but the premise is addiction to cell phones and smartphones and the rates of depression
Oh yeah.
happening since 2010, actually, in both boys and girls, or men and women, younger people, who basically are isolated socially. Now, how does that, if it does, how might that play into some of the things you're dealing with?
Well, that's a huge thing. So when we filmed this show, Digital Addiction, I think it was like 2021, and it made it one season because I believe America wasn't ready to admit, because we're all on our phones we're doing work, we're doing school, we're doing, and so we've normalized this thing, but there's people out there that are not, that you can go on a video games, say you graduate college, right? You're putting out like 100 applications, you're hearing nothing back, but you can go in your video game and you can level up and you can get this thing and get the loot, whatever the things are, you get that gratification and that fulfillment. So, and you have real friends in that world. It's not a fake world. It's not this, person to person world. So people are getting their needs filled, but it's not like they're missing out on a lot. And like you'll notice that people are failure to launch, or they'll have not good hygiene, not taking care of themselves, not having personal relationships.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned gaming, because there's strategy books and entire strategy, designs, both in gaming but also in social media, that they typically refer to as gamification, right? Or things to boost engagement. And they really all stem from addictive psychology, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's out of that. They would never call it that, but they're essentially trying to make their game or their app or their interface or their platform addictive by its very nature. And they reward you based on the engagement that they're looking for. So it's one of those things you've got to be careful with, or make AI do it if you have to.
Well, that's why we added the failure to launch, because there was so many people in that falling in that category. Like they didn't necessarily weren't like really no mental health true diagnosis, no like using any outside substances. It was strictly like living on the games and not wanting to function in society.
Okay, so related to that, some of the students put together some great questions, and in a second
Awesome.
we'll take some live ones right on the spot from some students, hopefully. They ask, if you could delete and one industry that is currently legal from existence, right? So one of these things that conceivably people become addicted to, what would it be?
I mean, the whole Oxycontin thing was like those people that, they came out with Oxycontin, that family, and they, there's lawsuits against them saying it was not addictive, having pharmaceutical reps go to places and say it's not addictive. So people were taking this pill thinking, oh, it's and it literally, people that had never, ever done anything in their lives, like drugs, were hooked, and they were strong.
Yeah.
So them, and then they also, I believe, I'm not confirmed on this, but I believe they're the ones that also came up with like Suboxone. So they came up with the problem and the solution. So like they have to go. F them.
Okay, so the pharmaceutical industry, at least a piece of it.
Yeah, that what Sackler family, the Sackler family, that was their names. Yeah, they are not good people.
Okay,
So.
here's a good one. Good question.
Okay.
If you could trade the wisdom and strength you gain from recovery for a life where you never struggled with those things to begin with, would you take that deal?
Absolutely not.
Okay, please elaborate.
Just to get go a little back. So I'm childhood trauma, right? I was sexually abused from ages 4 to 7. I would watch my mom get the crap beat out of her. He was a church guy by day and a woman beater by night. And then when we finally got away from him, he kidnapped my sister in front of me, hired someone on lawn maintenance day to blend in with the lawn crew, took her to Canada, and she was gone for an entire month. So that's what I went through from 4 to 7. So I was like, I am destined to have a effed up life because of what I've gone through. People that go through trauma and sexual abuse end up like prostitutes, and I'm lucky I'm not that bad. And so I kind of chalked it up all to that and gave up, at a young age.
And you've learned so much from that you would not trade that.
No, because now I can, what if someone in here has never told anyone one of the things that I just shared, and maybe now they feel safe that I'm saying it so openly. And I apologize if it makes anyone uncomfortable, because sometimes it does. But we're not alone in anything that we go through. And it's given me a passion and a purpose. Would I want to go through all that stuff again? No, but it happened. And I went through years of drugs and partying and, partying with rock stars, and it was fun. And then I was alone, depressed, so it didn't end well.
And your birth of your child had a lot to do with turning that around, I think. Is that correct? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it makes me emotional. My first son, he's 19. His name's Merrick, and he saved me. I wanted to be able to be a good mom, and I wanted to provide him with the options I didn't have. So my son is 19, and I'm not saying if you do drink alcohol or do anything else, you're bad. But my son has never tried alcohol or nicotine, which is crazy, because by the time I was his age, I had already lived a life. So yeah, and then I have a 12-year-old daughter who just started middle school, and that's a whole thing. Middle school's tough for girls.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So my son saved and changed my life. I knew the first year he was born, I didn't have a lot of connection to him because I was on, pills and different things and drinking. And I made a decision to change my life and be a good mom. And from that day, my life has been unbelievably amazing. Every dream of mine has come true.
Congratulations. Well, hang in there, because I understand it. Middle school can be tough for moms as well. So you've got more to come. In terms of your business and your clients, what proportion would you say, or what is your general success rate in terms of clients? Do you have an estimate on that, or something you monitor and keep track of, or not so much?
Yes. No, we absolutely monitor. We follow up. We like to work with people long-term because long-term works. So we will handhold, at the beginning and then titrate back. Everything's clinically directed. So we follow what the clinicians recommend. If we do an intervention, our psychologist meets with the family before, during, and after. And everything's customized, and we have really good, my motto, which we'll probably get to, but is creating lasting change. I don't want someone to come and work with Next Level and be a Band-Aid for a few months and the family have to go through whatever they're going through. And a year from now, let's get this right now and let's do it. And so we're creative. We bring in whoever we need to bring in. We believe it takes a village.
Are you more of the marketing end of this? Then you have the specialists in the different areas, or how would you view yourself in terms of putting a team together?
Well, I worked in behavioral health for years, doing the marketing things and the outreach. And then I trained to become a CIP, a certified intervention professional, which takes 2 years. And it's the only national certification through the Pennsylvania board. So I have that. And then I did a lot of coaching trainings after my college degree, and alternative medicine was my degree. So I have I have a gift. So I do the marketing. I am obviously the face of my company, but I also am a great coach. I love, helping people navigate things. And then I also do interventions, and then I run the whole business with Sarah, who's my manager. I just gave her 10% of the company for Christmas as a managing partner. She's a nurse. She's incredible. And
wow.
I wish she would be here if she didn't have COVID. So.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, that's great. Congratulations to her. And I think that's a smart play. A savvy entrepreneurial move is to get those key strategic team members incentivized and aligned with the founder of the business. And a great way to do that is provide them some ownership or equity, same thing, right, within the actual business. And your motivations, your goals, your objectives are inevitably strictly aligned. So I think that's great. Let's talk about the future of the business.
Yeah.
Is it something, what do you want to do with it? How big do you want it to get? Would you ever sell it and have some sort of an exit? You mentioned it's your passion, so I'm guessing no, but what's the long-term vision here?
Well, I almost did sell. So I did have a woman who owns one woman who's my mentor and I love, out of Texas, who was going to buy Next Level when I had my partner. And it was like a 6-month pending deal. We did the letter of intent, the due diligence, all that stuff.
Oh, legally, wow. So you got pretty far into it.
Oh yeah. And I thought I already had the money spent for my kids. Those were the only 2 things I had, was an investment thing for both my children. And then she had an opportunity to take back her baby program that she had sold at the same time. So she's we need to pause it. And at the time, my business partner was drowning in his PsyD program. Me and Sarah were doing everything. And so we were if we can't do it now, then we're not going to do it. So then in the same day, I lost the deal of selling, and all, because it was not a corporate situation. It was going to be a one woman owned, and I love her and I love her team and I know them and trust them. to losing also my business partner that day. He told me, "Hey, Amanda, that means if we're not getting bought, like I'm out too."
Hmm.
And he sold me the business for like $1 for his part,
Okay.
which was lovely.
Hmm.
And then after he was out of the contract for the year, that's when I gave Sarah 10%.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
what are you looking at in terms of the future? Do you think you want to? It's hard to grow these things, I guess, with your personality kind of driving it, because you want to have it to be certainly like you. You can't really recreate yourself. So how do you scale it? And
It's
then
not
how
quite
do you?
software that you can
Yeah.
just sell
And
a
how-
mil-
yeah.
million
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
times on the internet.
Well, like I said, the one of the positives of the COVID thing was I built an international brand online. I had to go to create Zoom networking events, and I this is one thing that like just will always stick with me, and I hope this guy listens to it. His name's Theo, and he's from the Netherlands. I went to a behavioral health conference in London, and he came up to me and said, "Amanda, I've watched you from day one from Next Level and growing your business, and it's been really awesome." So I have created an international brand, which is beautiful. I'm focused now on professional speaking and bringing this message of, we can go through anything, and we can be okay. Like, trauma comes back and things come back, but we can still have the life of our dreams. We can have the love of our life. We can have the dream job. We can have our own business, whatever we want. It's possible for everyone. So that's my shift focus. And we're also adding Next Level Wellness soon, which is going to be like more of a maybe no mental health struggles, but other things, so I'm continuing to grow and follow my heart and follow what, comes. I was going to get invested in. That's kind of pending. If that happens, I can get like some good office space and collaborate with some people. And I have some plans going on with that, but we'll see.
How much did you have to put into the business when you started it?
So
How
that
much
was going to
money?
be my question.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
And next we'll take a couple questions from the students. So if thinking about your questions in the audience, definitely do that. But this comes up all the time when I'm working with founders in our accelerator, which is very successful, but they still all struggle with new venture financing, right? Like, how do you get over the hump? How do you get the funds you need to get this off the ground, let alone students in my classes who are starting small ventures? Like, you need some capital to get going, whether it's capital intensive or even a more simple concept. How did you address that?
So I had a full-time job while I was training, doing all of these things on the side, and I had an exit plan. So I was double dipping. I was doing like the companion jobs on the weekends and coaching and interventions off hours of my full-time job, saved. And I was supposed to wait till Christmas that year, but I said to my ex-husband, it was like August. I'm like, I can't take it one more day. I have to go. And I was making enough money to cover my salary. And I started this business with $100 in a bank account and nothing else. We had no overhead.
Okay.
We were getting business. So we used that and just kept dumping it into the company and growing it.
Yeah. Growth off revenue and
$100. That's it.
All right. Well, let's take a couple questions. Somebody come up and ask a question. As you've probably taken note, if you've been paying attention to the show, Amanda here's pretty much an open book, I'd say. So
yeah, I'm vulnerable. I used to pray for it because I was like a rock for a few years, but now literally I'm open-hearted and I'm willing to answer anything or talk about anything with anyone. So.
Questions about her?
Oh, I knew you were going to be one. I see that head nodding the whole time. I'm like, that's my boy right there.
Nice. Yeah, my name is Tyler. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Tyler.
So I had one question about the CIP that you mentioned. So like it got me thinking, how entrepreneurial is this field that you work in? Like recovery from addiction and stuff. It's a very it sounds weird to say that there are competitors in that industry because it's like everyone wants to have everyone be recovered, obviously. But so that's what I started wondering, how really competitive is it, and how are there other people that are starting businesses in the same way that you did and things like that? So
yeah, absolutely. I love that question. Thank you so much, Tyler. So there are a ton of people that do what I do, and behavioral health is massive. I just hosted a conference in Breckenridge with leaders from all the large treatment centers in the country, all the companies like mine, clinicians, all of that stuff. And it was leadership based. It's my 4th year hosting it. So it is a massive industry, a massive field. And I am kind of the new school of this. Like there's the older women and older gentlemen that have done it that are like in their 60s kind of phasing out, and they had a different model. And so like I think me and my former business partner Blake, we created like this next gen version. Like how can we meet people where they are? How can we not have a black and white, like this is how it has to be or you're not going to be able to work with me? Like we will if someone comes to me and says, I want to learn how to drink socially. I want to learn how to I want to be able to just smoke weed and get rid of alcohol. I will not turn them away. Now, the old school people would have said, if you're not going to be willing to do this, this, and this, like very rigid, I won't work with you. And we don't do that. So we've kind of, my company is kind of like the next generation of something that's been going on a very long time. And there's no competitors. There's only collaborators, I believe. Even people that do the same thing I do.
Interesting.
Yeah, great question, Tyler. And it's something that keeps coming up in here. Hopefully the class is kind of taking note that like a lot of the services and products that millions of people use, at the end of the day, they're businesses, even though they're not always framed that way. Think about some of the guests we've had on throughout the semester, right? We've had someone who owns a school, a private school, albeit, of course, a dental office that catered to specialized customers and children. But at the end of the day, they were all businesses. That's why kind of understanding business, I like to think, is so important. Certainly I'm biased teaching in a business college, but if the business model doesn't function, then you're not able to provide these great services to your clientele. Absolutely. And get them clean and get them healthy and where they want to be, unless the business model works. That's kind of the nature of most entities, unless they're subsidized by some sort of nonprofit structure.
Like from day one, I set up I had a custom CRM like set up from day one. You know, like I wanted to be ahead of the game. I didn't want to fall behind and like lose contacts and lose things like that. So that was something I did like right away.
Yeah, customer relationship management software program. If the acronym's not familiar, Erica.
Hi,
Erica.
Hi. This is kind of piggybacking off of what Dr. Cox just said, but so the business needs to be functioning well in order for you to help people, but it's really important that you're also functioning well. So I was wondering, what do you think are the most important things that you do every day to keep yourself as your best self so that you're able to help so many people?
That is such a deep, beautiful question, and I really appreciate it. So I believe I'm team centered, right? So most companies are client centered, but if I stay focused on helping my team and making sure that they're okay and they're taking care of themselves and they're taking self-care, then I know that my clients will get the best versions, right? So I just went through a terrible tragedy last week at my conference. Someone passed away at my event. A dear friend for a long time. Someone, I have goosebumps. Someone loved all over the field, all across the country. And I had to like do nothing on Monday. Like I just had a shutdown day, right? I have to go to therapy. I have a coach. I do all and I exercise and make sure I spend time in nature, really appreciate my kids, meditation, traveling, just like living, enjoying in life and making sure that like I'm checking in with myself. Like, you know, sometimes just 5 minutes of just like putting my hand on my heart and my stomach and just like seeing what's coming up for me. And I ask so if I have a companion job that is, you know, an intense one, I'll ask the people that I'm thinking about it, how are you doing right now? Are you in a space where you can take this 30-day live-in job? Like, is your mental health okay? Like, and I make sure I give them therapy for free also while they're on the job, which is not an industry standard. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, wow. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you.
Great. If there aren't any more questions, Erica provides this great segue to the next segment, which the student team developed today. And Tyler's part of that team. It's a great news segment. I think it's interesting, but we haven't done it before.
Surprises all over.
We'll see how it goes. Addiction or ambition. So we're going to put your certification to work here today.
All right, bring it.
So entrepreneurs must overcome challenges that make most people quit. Sure, I see it all the time. On the flip side, people struggling with addiction also face serious challenges that not everyone can relate to. Depending on your perspective, right? Sometimes the same descriptors might be utilized for an entrepreneur in the midst of creating a business, as well as someone fighting addiction. There might be some similarities. They may lose friends, sacrifice things they really enjoy for a certain amount of time, struggle with money. So in this segment, we want to give you a few scenarios, and we want you to determine if this person is afflicted with addiction or ambition.
Okay.
Roland, you want to kick us
I
off?
love
All
this.
right. Okay. So John believes he has a chance of being a competitive gamer for online video games. Over the past 6 years, he's paid large amounts of money to compete in multiple official tournaments, but doesn't make it past the first round most times. Because of this, he struggles financially and stays up late working on strategy and improving his skill, because he believes that one day he can become one of the world's best gamers. He has thought about the toll this takes on him, but as long as it pays off one day, he's okay with it. So tell us, Amanda, is John possibly dealing with addiction or ambition?
God, I would have to. Can I ask
These-
questions or no? Can there be questions,
Well,
or is that all the
yeah.
information
Well,
I got?
actually, we might not be able to answer them, but maybe the
Okay.
audience can answer them.
Does John like have functional relationships and like do working and going to school, or is it just straight up gaming all the time?
What do you think?
What?
Gaming.
Gaming.
Okay, he's addiction.
Gaming.
A mix. I would say him more addiction, gaming,
Okay.
digital addiction. That's what I would say. Ambition would be like, doing that on the side and making sure like you're taking care of yourself and you're functioning in life, and like doing that on the side in your free time. That's the responsible way to grow that. Because listen, it happens. People are professional gamers, right? But everyone thinks that they're going to be an influencer now. That's what they want to be, a career. And everyone thinks they want to be like, I never intended to have like a platform on social media ever, ever, ever. It just happened. It was never a goal of mine to be like an influencer.
And John never comes out of his room. So yeah, we know he's
okay. John, we need to go. Where is he? Let me go help him. I'll go talk to him and give him some love.
Yeah.
I think he's a composite.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I don't think he is though. I know a friend of mine did an intervention on someone that was this is a little gross just to tell you, a gamer that did not leave his game except to go pick up the pizza from the front door, and he sat in a diaper. A grown man. And digital addiction mostly is most prevalent in the age 30, which we all think it's going to be younger. It's 30 in all the research, because it's past the age of like, the high school years when they're still going.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just add a little bit of context. I work with some founders and have some hard conversations about these types of scenarios, right? And what I encourage people to do is think about benchmarks, goals, and objectives, and set hard limits on how much time you want to commit, or a timeline or a financial level that you want to invest, and goals related to those that you need to achieve, right? So having that stage gated system that is like, okay, I'm going to do these 5, let's say it's this type of scenario, gaming tournaments. And these aren't, the most competitive in the world. If I don't make it to the second round
Ever.
in XYZ, and, I'm going to practice X amount of hours per day, I'm going to spend X amount of money. And these are the things that must be achieved by this time, or, the signal is, maybe this isn't the right path. Same thing can happen, well outside of gaming. If you're investing in a mobile app or whatever it may be, think about how many paying users do you want to have by this time? How much do you want to invest? What do you want to do? Because it gets tough. So let's hear a couple more scenarios.
Well, he could be he could be problematic, or he could be in the addictive state, I would say, because that was like one question on the show. Like the producers were like, how do we know what's addiction or it's just like a little bit problematic? And there's like a fine line between that. So.
Well, I think he's probably the guy with the diaper. Okay. Anyway, Samantha has always wanted to own a bakery. She quit her stable job, took out loans, and spends all her time perfecting recipes and marketing her brand. She often skips meals to afford ingredients and ignores concerns from friends and family. Despite financial stress and exhaustion, she believes her hard work will pay off. So is she dealing with addiction or has ambition?
I think ambition with some unhealthy choices. You got to listen to your support system, your family. I don't listen to everybody, because I'll tell you right now, like you said at the beginning, you lose friends. And when you grow, it is similar. Addiction, you lose your friends. And when you become successful, you lose people. And it sucks. So not everyone's meant to go on that journey with you. So yeah, I would say a combo.
All right, let's go to the fitness realm. Emily is determined to run a marathon. Sounds healthy, right? She trains every day, even when injured or exhausted, and skips social events to stick to her schedule. She spent large amounts on gear, coaches, race fees, despite struggling financially. Her friends worry she's pushing herself too hard, but she insists that crossing the finish line will make it all worth it.
Oh boy, I've done that one a few times. I've done a few half marathons, but I've had that kind of mindset. I think that she sounds like someone with some body dysmorphia issues or some like type A, just very I wouldn't say like addiction or ambition. I just say she needs to go to therapy.
All
Yeah.
right. These are good though, right?
Yeah, they are. They
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're like, putting, I mean, listen, I've trained for 2 halves and but you got to, if you're injured, like that's not going to help
Mhm.
you. That's a little. I have had a client with orthorexia and literally she would try to exercise 9 hours a day. And we had to have somebody with her and she would eat the same exact thing every single day. And if it wasn't exactly the same thing, I mean, men are struggling with body dysmorphia and eating disorders now too. I always interview guys that are open to talk about that because I love it.
Well, wait a minute. Eating the exact same thing, same amount that's prepared ahead of time every day. Easy, easy. I know somebody who does that every day,
You do?
all the time. Yeah. and
But would
makes
you
it,
eat-
like,
would
2
you-
weeks in advance?
But would you eat something, like if I just had something here, would you take a bite of it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
unless it was cauliflower.
Okay. So ambition or
You get old and you have a job where you sit in a chair, so you just gotta be careful.
I get it. I
Mm,
get
yeah,
it. I mean,
sitting-
I'm pretty. I believe in flexible structure. I'm not too hard on myself with anything. I have goals and I attain most of them. But if I don't meet like a standard or I eat a cookie, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad.
Well, certain times of the year, there's more and less
True,
flexibility.
yeah.
Rolling. How about one more? How about this
One
last
more.
one?
Okay. This is Lauren. She's a wealthy store manager. She spends her free time investing in side business projects of her own. So far, none of them have taken off, but she's okay with that. She really just enjoys the thrill of creating something new and hopes one day she can make something that can fund her retirement.
I'm into it. I'm feeling her.
Her husband, though, has voiced concerns about this because he thinks she is spending too much on side hustles instead of her retirement portfolio and I assume her job as
I'm
a
with-
store manager.
I'm with Amanda. It sounds like she's just having fun.
I mean, I think that they need to go to couples therapy, right? And get on the same page and have some boundaries. Have some boundaries upon like how much that it's not going to affect the household and their retirement. But if this is something that she's passionate about and doesn't get upset when it doesn't work out, like it sounds like she kind of has a good grounding, but just her and the husband have to get on the same page.
Mm.
Yeah, I just fill up the year's worth of the retirement portfolio first, right? Make sure that's where it needs to be, and then the rest. Yeah, I like to invest in small ventures and opportunities. You should realize some of these things are gambling. Startup world is crazy, but as long as you recognize that, and you've already moved the retirement assets in there, which she's not doing, I'm totally fine with it. I think some risk is good, especially if your portfolio is real boring like mine and built for the long term. Like that's not going to do anything exciting. Might as well gamble a bit.
I feel like to grow, to have the life of my dreams that I'm continually working on, I believe that I have to have multiple streams of income. I don't believe that so that's why I have Next Level Recovery Associates, and I have Amanda Marino Speaks. And then I have I'm starting a coaching school. I've been working with a psychologist on to teach people how to be recovery coaches, online platform. So I believe you have to have multiple things going on. And for me, I worked with just a salary and I would spend more. And then I felt like it was a trap for me. So to be a business owner and have the sky the limit to me is my dream.
Mm-hmm. So correct on these, yes?
Yeah.
Applause
Did she
for
pass?
Did she pass?
Thanks, guys.
Yes. Good. Good. Very good.
All right. Well, Amanda, we can't thank you enough for being here today. I know you have your own podcast, so go ahead and publicize that and then let the folks listening know where they can get a hold of you.
Yeah. So I have a podcast I've had since 2017. So before it was the boom. It's called Overcoming Adversity. And it started off with stories of people with just all kinds of walks of life of someone that lost a child, someone that had a young disease, just all different things. And then now it's more focused on mental health and things like that. So you can find that on Apple or Spotify, all those things. And then I do a live stream show on LinkedIn all the time. The streams on LinkedIn, my Instagram, called Recovery Solutions, where I interview different clinical professionals or dietitians or just somebody interesting that can provide quality content to the world, because I feel like there's enough garbage content out there. So I like to
Right.
interview people that are smarter than me, more educated than me, and have like a really awesome message that maybe aren't. I'm usually most therapists' first ever interview, because they're like brilliant, but they want to stay in their office and just meet their
Sure.
clients. So I pull them out and I make them come like live with me. But you can find me at Amanda Marino Official on Instagram and TikTok. And then I'm on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. So I got in there before like it got hard to grow your following. So yeah. And then my next level recovery associates.com is my website. So anyone, if you know anyone struggling with anything, if it's you struggling with anything, there's no shame in asking for help. We're all going through something.
How much is this going to cost me though?
Nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Call me, DM. I will always help you.
You'll get a consult.
Everyone will. And if it's not to work with my company, I have the resources around the whole world, not just this country, of every trauma program, eating disorder program, substance use disorder, gaming, anxiety, depression. If you want to just go away for a week and do like some deep therapy and intensive, like I can connect anybody with. I've been doing this a long time. So like I love to just help people find the peace in their life. Like what's better than peace?
Excellent.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
See you back here
I'm
next
gonna
week.
grab your arms.
All right.
Thank you.